in town with GW. So let's get into it. Number 13 in the preseason poll on the men's side, third-year head coach Chris Caputo. Buchanan on the second team, Darren Buchanan Jr. There's a lot going on with GW, and has been for, with their international players. And again, they'll bring in some new faces like everyone has. But here's a look up of what's going on with GW here. What have you seen? What were your thoughts so far on the men's side?
Yeah, I would say that, that last bullet point, losing Garrett Johnson to an ACL really hurts this team. This is a player last year that averaged 13.5 points, almost 6 rebounds, but played, Mike, 29 minutes per game. So you've got to find a way to replace that. You mentioned Darren Buchanan already, all-conference second team. The 6'7" forward, sophomore forward, really looking to get better, really looking to play more minutes for this team, have more responsibility, have more of a leadership component.
Yep.
But it's just so tough when you start losing one of your main players to injury.
Yeah, no doubt about that. We've seen it on a few things, too. It's like you really can't get the offense or the things in place when that does kind of happen. And you can almost understand, from year to year when things change and you lose a couple players. It's like, it's not football. There's not 120 players, and you might lose 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. The percentage is drastically different, right? I mean, here you lose 1 or 2, and you're down 10, 20%.
Yes.
So I mean, I like to look at it like in the reality of things. Sometimes, the coaches will speak. I don't want them to feel like, oh, we're making excuses. That's just a reality when you don't have that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, adaptability, right? We talk about it a lot of the time when it pertains to players transferring and adapting. But the same thing with coaches. When you're losing a major player, a major piece, a major leadership piece, you've got to figure out what to do. They also, though, did pick up Sean Hansen, 6'9" grad transfer from Cornell, a very skillful center. And watching his film, I loved how he stretches the floor, very good passing ability, someone that you need to kind of be the glue player. We're seeing it more and more often where fives, our centers on the floor, should be the best passers because they have the height advantage. And if they can add that skill, it only makes your offensive team more fluid when your center can also be a passer and score in the paint. So I feel like the pickup of Sean Hansen can help with, Johnson not playing this season, bring some more production, and then you're going to need a lot out of Darren Buchanan.
Yes, no doubt about it. That's on the men's side. We'll hear from Chris Caputo in just a little bit about his team coming up. On the other side, Coach McCombs for the women's team. A few grad transfers coming in, some key players there. Also, a Michigan Miss Basketball freshman in Gabby Reynolds.
Yes.
9 newcomers, 5 returners. There's a lot going on for Coach in GW women's basketball.
Yeah, Caroline McCombs in her 4th season, she does a good job consistently of recruiting. You mentioned those 9 newcomers. A lot of young players have to step up. And then grad transfer galore is actually a very good thing. It means that you're getting the most experienced players that you can. They have grad transfers from Northwestern, Lafayette, Bryant, different players who have affected those teams, played on those teams, and have done well, but they lost a lot last year. Mayo Taiwo, a player that was a rebounding machine, defensively so good for Coach McCombs, and then Nia Robertson, one of the players that was so electric and dynamic to watch. She transferred from GW. So it's a team in which you're not seeing those normal names you have a few years ago. You've got to be able to reload, and I like what Coach McCombs was able to get out of the transfer portal.
Yeah, 3 grad transfers, junior college transfer as well, in addition to 2 freshmen, Reynolds and Morgan Matthews also. So yeah, there was a lot. But I'm thinking, in terms of like this mix, right? They have 1 senior too, 1 senior. Again, we can say it all we want. Experience coming in is the grad transfers, but I mean, a person who's actually been at that program for an extended period of time, knowing the culture, knowing everything that GW is all about.
Yeah, because I think what we haven't talked about with transfers is that you've got to break habits, right? As much as you're adapting, you have to break habits. There was a ton of differences that I went to when I transferred from Syracuse and then played at Siena. Syracuse, we played a 2-3 zone. It was mainly about covering your area, communicating with your team. Siena, we're man-to-man full court, baby. If you don't slide, you're getting beat, right? And so there is habits that you have to break, and I think that comes with bringing in some transfers, especially when they're so experienced in their grad transfers. They've been playing maybe the same way for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, that's a very good point. All right, Chris Caputo is on the stage right now. We'll hear from him. We'll come back and break it down after he finishes up.
A league that got multiple bids, a league that had multiple teams make the Final Four off those at-large bids, and I felt like the A-10 looked like a league like that. And then you go into the season and you have two teams make the NCAA tournament, both win games, and neither of those teams won our regular season. Multiple other teams winning 20 games. So the depth in the league, and I think what the league can do on a national scale is there. And, you hear about the metrics, like, we have to catch up to the metrics. I think the metrics have to catch up to the A-10 because, again, I think our league is about as good as it gets. If you have other leagues that are getting 4 and 5 teams, there's no reason why we shouldn't when you think about the quality of teams in our league and what they do in the postseason. So excited to compete against some really good programs, really good coaches, and then have a championship here in D.C.
Perfect. Thank you, Coach. At this time, we'll open it up for questions.
Hey guys, Abe from WRGW.
Hi, Abe.
Nice to see you. Darren, I know today you're A-10 second team. I know you were looking forward to being first team. Does that put a chip on your shoulder coming into the year?
I already had a chip on my shoulder just giving over the finish that we had last year. So that would just added fuel to the fire, honestly. And I just couldn't be more excited and ready to just go out there with my teammates this season and compete starting November 4th. I told them the season started in May. So I'm super excited, and I'm blessed to even be like on any team. So it definitely means a lot that I've been considered as one of the top guys in the conference. But I'm definitely like I'm more than ready to go for sure this year, definitely.
Hi there, Grant Pasternak, GW Hatchet. This one's also for Darren. Strong year, first year in the program last year. Now coming back, how do you look to step up in a leadership role, and who, if anyone else on the team, do you see stepping up as a leader on this team?
I think early, more was just expected of me since the season I had this off season. So just coming into the summer and spring workouts and fall workouts, I was just trying to be that vocal leader that the team would need, telling them that like we all got to hold each other accountable. Like I want them to hold me accountable. I want to be able to hold them accountable. So just being that vocal leader is something that I always wanted to be. I feel like that's like who I am. So it's been a challenge stepping into that role this year, being though I'm still young, still one of the youngest guys on the team. But I'm more than ready, like I said, and I think my teammates are more than ready. Like we all communicate very well on the court. Like we all listen to one another, and I think that's what will take us over the hump. So I'm definitely like blessed to be in the position I am to be the leader of the team and to just know like I can rely on my teammates and they can rely on me as well. So it means a lot that Coach Caputo even put that trust in me to do so at such a young age, and I'm just blessed to be in that position.
Dave Preston, GW Non-Student Media, WTOP in Washington. Welcome in. Question for the coach.
Sure, Dave.
Given what you've got on campus, on your roster, what do you feel your challenges are this season?
Well, I think probably like most people in our business now, we had 9 new guys last year, and I think we had the 3rd most freshman scoring, 4th most freshman minutes in the country. And prior to our injuries, we were having a great year, but we also knew, hey, there's going to be the ups and downs. When I first started, we have 6 new guys this year. When I first started coaching, 6 new guys would have been a large number. We're like relieved to only have 6 new guys now. But yet what still comes into play is just, the meshing of your returners and the new people. And often the new people are not freshmen where, we have a saying like, hey, we don't become you, you become us. Like, you have to learn, well, a lot of people have to do that in college basketball now. And so I think, like everybody else, we're going to have some returners play a good amount, but we're going to have some new guys play a good amount and try to get those guys together. That's why it's so critical to have the summer and to spend a lot of time with each other on and off the court because you got to accelerate that process of getting to know each other where, the days of having guys for 3 and 4 years together or even coming in as a young class and staying together all the way through are just, they're not as common these days.
Darren, I was wondering if you'd talk a bit about, obviously 8 media days here in D.C. You're from D.C. The tournament's going to be in D.C. You'll be playing, obviously, your home games with GW in D.C. What does it mean repping your city and playing so many games so close to home?
It means everything. like if you know me, I'm DC through and through. Like I bleed DC. I love being in DC. Like me coming back to DC was something that was like big for me. And like I've been saying all day, I'm just blessed that Coach Caputo gave me the opportunity to come back and be home. Like I was just home last night with my mom watching the Cowboys game. So things like that, I just love being able to do. And being able to play here in front of my family, friends, it's like a dream come true. And it just means a lot. Like my community means everything to me. Like I go back home pretty often to go check on them and things like that. So just being able to play the A-10 tournament here, which would be big, I think we have a great crowd here. So I feel like it's a home game, definitely. So we're going to use that to our advantage this year. But I'm just more excited to just play in front of my family and friends again. So that's what I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, Coach, you touched on it a little bit, but the 6 new guys, you got a lot to like replace in James Bishop. How do you see those guys coming together, like from Providence to Switzerland? How do you see all those guys coming together to complete the puzzle and make a team?
Yeah, no, it's, you know, the interesting thing for us is we wanted to get a little bit older. We were able to do that with our 4 transfers, all in their 3rd, 4th, 5th year, what have you. I think, you know, the idea that they're blending with a group of guys that got a lot of experience, you know, with each other last year is a good thing, but it does take some time. And then you have freshmen who have never been through it. Last summer, we had a number of those guys, for different reasons, play with their national teams. They weren't there in the summer. Have to graduate to become a grad transfer, was not there in the summer. And so while you had the group together, it wasn't as many, whereas this summer, other than Garrett's injury, the other, and Diane Nessa playing with the Swiss national team, everyone else was together all summer. And so I think that gives us a little bit of a head start that we didn't really have last year, even though we had so many new guys.
Any additional questions?
Hey guys, Matt Moderno from the Believe in DB Hoops podcast. Just Coach, for you, obviously we know about Darren, going to have a great sophomore year here, but just can you talk a little bit about Jacoy Hutchinson and the kind of start to camp and practice he's had so far?
Yeah, really proud of Jacoy. You know, I think he came in like a lot of, it's actually very rare that a guard, true freshman guard, plays a lot of minutes in college basketball today. When you start looking across the board, not just in the A-10, although there were very few in the A-10, you know, X Brown and Jacoy probably played the most minutes. I don't know, there may be somebody else I'm forgetting, but and when you do that, you get thrown into the fire as a young player in what's probably the oldest year in the history of college basketball. There's going to be some ups and downs in November, and there certainly was for Jacoy. And you know what I'm most proud about is as his minutes increased, partially because of injury and things like that in January and February, his production and his efficiency went up because he was getting better as the season was going on. And he wasn't discouraged by some of the things that happened to young players early in the year. So I think for him, he deserves a lot of credit for that. And we have a lot of the numbers that kind of show that progression. And then obviously the hope is, you know, he has a great summer, which he did, and he can kind of catapult that experience into winning play. Right, it's one thing to go from, hey, I'm earning playing time, and I'm becoming efficient. Now I have to earn play time, become efficient, and then do the things that lead to winning on both sides of the ball. But I think he really benefited from going through what he went through, and then to his credit, really worked at it. And it's more a mental thing than it is physical, you know.
Coach, Darren, thank you both for joining us this afternoon, and best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good to hear from GW there with Chris and Darren, and as they get ready for this season coming up here, we're going to talk women's basketball on the GW side in a moment. Also, Bernadette McGlade